All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is Jack Devine back with another episode of Office Hours here. Just excited to be finally on vacation and getting to do some practice and playing a new guitar here. Kind of a mid-60s Strat replica done by Warmoth Neck, Bloom and Doom. I think Warmoth Neck, but it can't be because it has Brazilian fingerboard. And I don't think Warmoth offers that. Anyway, that in coupling with the new Moo, vintage Mootron here in the house has left me leaning towards some of the more, envelope follower tunes within the Grateful Dead sphere. And today this guitar was kind of kicking it in that minor pentatonic way that you just heard. But there is this one spicy note, and it's ye old flat 5. Okay? I know everybody thinks they know how to work it, but there are elements about this note that, they really... It's shocking how blatant you can be with it. You can be very aggressive with this note in this setting. All right, so we're basically playing over top of an F sharp minor vamp here. You're going to hear it. It's no secret. It's trying to be effectively like the outro jam to Estimated Profit. Okay, so we're just hearing a bunch of F sharp minors, and then going down to like an E, boom, boom, and then coming back up. So all we're really hearing is, we're just going to be hearing the F sharp minor chord, like that, and then we're coming back from an E major. That's kind of what's happening at the core of the background harmony. But what's happening within the soloing stuff is effectively grabbing the minor pentatonic, adding the 9th. Okay, so that's... And then putting the flat 5 in there, okay? So that's going to be like the chromatic tone between... That's C. Okay, so we're going to be hearing it here, 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 here. Okay, lots and lots and lots of spots where we're hearing that C. All right, so... So if we can get this one little move together where we can... I want you to think like you're in the orchestra in the Cotton Club back. I want you to think like that, okay? Think like a big band trumpet or, a trombone player. Okay, so you can see how I'm coming from root, flat 3, 4, and then kind of keep coming back up in here. Right? Okay, so that's C over top of the F sharp. It technically splits the octave between the... So we have the exact same number of notes above it as below it, and so the Nimrods in the church way back in the day started to call it the... what is it? Intervallic musica diabolis or something like that. Basically, the devil's note, blah, blah, blah. It is somewhat sinister sounding. So just that little lick. And if you can just kind of lean into it and allow it to stink up the place for a minute, okay? And there's some other spots where this is playable very easily, okay? This middle finger off the root works very nicely, okay? We can also hear okay? That sounds really nice. And most importantly to me, is that you start to see it existing out of the number 1 minor pentatonic position here on the B string back here. Okay, now I'm chromatically connecting the root and the flat 7 as well. Kind of like that, okay? Does the guitar and everything sound all right, everybody? Is everything coming through clear enough and nice enough? I'm stuck using, well, I'm not stuck. I've decided to shift over from using the room microphone built into my phone and kind of using a slightly more professional, well, completely more professional setup, but I don't know whether or not it's sounding any better, okay? So if you can take this sound, you can really have some fun with that sound, okay? Just try coming in from there. Ba-doo-ba-doo. Okay. Now, if we grab that with the middle finger and bend it up, so if we kind of get into the groove here, we can start having a lot of fun, okay? So from this kind of middle pinky on the root, kind of coming up through here, through the 9, flat 3, and the 4. Right, if we just kind of bear in mind these 2 fingers here on the 1st and 2nd fret of the G string, or even chromatically up, right? Right, we're going to hear that nice right here, and but if we take that same figure here between the index and the middle finger, bring it down here, all right, and you'll see one of my favorite things to do over this ending jam and estimated is to kind of promote the minor pentatonic. Okay, we've taken the minor pentatonic. Right, we've taken that and we've, oh boy, sorry about that. So we've taken that and we've, oh boy, that sucks. How do I get this to plug in now? All right, well, alrighty. So much for my rig being so wonderful here. Let's get this. Plug my phone in. Oh. Anyway, the idea of finding the symmetrical fingering here was kind of a big watershed moment for me with working with this sound. So pinky again is on the tonic. And if we come up through here, we're going to bring in that that major sixth, or it's a natural sixth, right? So that's going to give our sound slightly brighter, more Dorian feel. We're going to be kind of mixing the we're going to be not mixing the mixolydian, but we're going to be mixing the minor pentatonic and bring in that flat 5, what some people would refer to as a blues note, but fuck that. This has nothing to do with blues. Calling this the blues scale, in my opinion, would be incorrect, because the blues requires that we take the flat third and kind of bring it up, and we're kind of mixing the sweet and the sour. This is purely a sad sound. This is kind of a sad or darker sound. All right, we're going to be bringing in this chromatic. Okay, and so it creates this darkness that's kind of creepy, right? There's that note. That's the Dorian note. That's the sixth, right? If we want to, we can get kind of clever and cute and Latin with it. Okay, so you'll see I came down from the tonic, major 7. Okay, so that you can do that, okay, and it sounds pretty sweet. All right, so if we think about things in terms of like kind of a modified minor pentatonic, where we're adding a couple of spicy notes, like the 9. Okay, the chromatic passing tones between 4 and 5, and flat 7 and root. It starts to sound very, very nice. Okay, then once we're up on thinking about that descending idea, there's that flat 5. Super fun to get to fuck around with that. So, sorry, my phone died, and that's where I can actually see any and all chat that takes place. So you'll have to bear with me if you've asked me a question. My phone is on the fritz. Okay, so if we think about that, okay, so we're coming. Try singing some of your lines. It's definitely a good way to keep yourself focused here. All right? And, obviously, if you're messing around with the Mutron, you're going to need to determine where the kind of livelier octaves are on the guitar. This is a nuance that happens when you are messing around with this. Look at the way this note behaves there versus, all right, it's completely unique. so too is the sixth. Okay. It's just really important that you pay attention to some of these things, because not all notes on the guitar are going to interact with the front end of the Mutron the same way. So, you know, it's just it's a kind of a, it's not advanced. I wouldn't say it's advanced. It's just something that might not dawn on you at first, you know. That's kind of what I'm driving at here. Okay, so when we're back here, we've got these three together, and these three strings. So if we start creating sequences, i.e., you know, like, you know, patterns of 3 or 4 or 5 notes at a time, right? Over top of that, it makes it easy because these 3 notes are the same on all 3 strings. Okay, and then don't forget to shift back up and kind of be in. You kind of want to end on, even if you're playing like this. Get back here. Don't end here and have like a, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but certainly don't try to, there's no reason to play the rest of the song like that with the 2 and 4 fingers. You could do 1 and 4, that's fine. I'm a big fan of using the pinky for octave play and stuff. All right, but let's look at that. If we did, let's just hear what that sounds like going up through the sequence, because we've got those 3 notes chromatically in a row: the 4, the flat 5, and the 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, you do the same thing to all 3 of these little trills here. Of fun for me anyway. All right, I try to encourage everybody to, you know, appreciate what's going on with that. What's going on? Boom, 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 boom. Let's see if we got any questions here. Oh my goodness. I always thought I was part of the 1%, but I didn't know it was going to extend to my cell phone power. What do we got here? Okay. Sounds good. This message is held for review. I'm going to say show. Take 5 lick. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. The jazz standard. Yes. So that's not a bad thing for you to fixate on if you want to look at historically important songs that utilize this interval, you know. Definitely, you know, definitely enjoy life with quotes and stuff. I tend to not do that here. I tend to do jocular things where I'm referencing certain melodies. You know. What would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4. A little Pink Panther kind of vibe. Anyway, so if we think about it like a modified Dorian, Okay, now this is kind of a different move, okay? Now we're doing the same thing that we did here. Right? That's the flat 5, but if we use the flat 2, right, we're getting the okay, it's a nice little slur between the, okay, that's a really tense note, right? That's the root. Okay, that glits into the 9, right? Very, very fun. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I'm fully back to the dealie here. Jerry's riff and Help on the Way. Yeah, there's some of that for sure, okay? There's some of that, you know, in the Help on the Way solo where he goes, you know, 2, 2, boom. Something like that, right? You get that, you know. All that's over top of an F minor chord, so you're getting that. So, you know, but basically what's happening is it's the idea of playing kind of a C sharp, C minor sound over top of the F, which is, you know, it's not unheard of to do, okay? And so if we take that kind of symmetrical approach of going, and then bring that to the delta between the flat 2 and the 2, it creates a very jazzy flow, right? So if we get that, you know, that would be this. That sounds super, super jazz-like to me. Okay, so that's, if that's the root, flat 7, minor 3rd, 2, so that's the root. So we're going to take the G note and come up. And you can kind of hear it in the background. I've got a little bit of that. Right. It's just a minor chord. And then right here. So don't forget to feather your nest, you know, it sounds nice. So that was me doing a chromatic approach tone into the root, flat 7, and then just walking that down chromatically until we get into back to our flat 5. So kind of a sweet little sound, you know, it kind of reminds me of a couple of songs from the 80s. There's our 6th again. So I'm using a lot of this trilling between the index and the middle. Right, so. Okay, and all that is me looking for either symmetrical or similar patterns from one string to the next. I know I get a lot of a lot of props from everybody, and I thank you very much for that. But I want you to understand, the only way to actually get better faster is to fucking go around your problems, avoid things that are difficult, find things that are easy, embrace them, and work them up. Okay, so looking for this symmetrical pattern here. Okay, that's very helpful. And believe it or not, so we found a symmetrical pattern here between 6, flat 7, root, 9, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, and 6. If we take that idea of finding these three strings, sorry, I'm going to play it like this so you can see. Well, that's kind of hard. It's literally these three fingers, okay? Index in the 1, middle in the 2, and pinky in the 4 slot, okay? Once we get here, we can go. All right, but just the same way we have these three in a row, once we add the flat 5 and the 9 to our minor pentatonic scale, we end up with this really wonderfully forgiving symmetrical pattern happening here as well, okay? So we got 3, 2, well, minor 3, 2, 1, right? And then 7, 6, 5, flat 5, 4. So we can do this trills between the pinky and the ring. Very, very profitable move, all right, in terms of just having it all right there. Planet of Caravan was one of the first times I fell in love with the major 6th in there and the nasty flat 5 minor pentatonic. Yep, well, we could definitely hear a little bit of. Figure in black that stands before me, points his finger at me. Or, you know, was it? Anyway, Sabbath is one of my biggest. I love Sabbath. You know, try singing those lines in your head. This is really kind of what I refer to pretty consistently as tight playing. Okay, it's not wide intervallic. Like, I'm not doing a lot of that jumpy shit. It's more about relying on. Right, so all this kind of. So these little. You want to look for those efficiencies within the pentatonic scale shapes that you know. All right, so one of the ones that's pretty easy to manipulate the flat 5 is if we're thinking about F sharp minor pentatonic, like here, okay, which would be only too smart. Sorry, give me a second to tune this bad boy up. Literally brand new guitar, took it out of the box about 20 minutes ago. It's kind of fun. Let's see if it can stay in there. What do we got here? Oh, no wonder. Yeah. So, everybody getting ready for a good holiday and stuff? So hyped to be here. Oh, wonderful, man. Hey, well, look, if anybody's ever, missed out on one of these things, feel free to, pipe up and get involved. I mean, this is, it's it's similar to what it's like over at school, other than I do video conferences with, whatever, 5 to 15 people, depending on the popularity of the subject that we're talking about and the availability of the student body. But it's pretty, I'm on vacation, so to speak, but I am kind of a junkie with this stuff. I do enjoy actually making videos and stuff, and I like interacting with folks about guitar and getting to, utilize this piece of equipment, and that way, I guess, qualifies it for tax considerations, which is also a nice thing. So, anyway, what do we got here? Live chat. Yep. What? No way. New guitar? Yeah, this is a new guitar. This is a parts guitar, 60s Strat, big headstock kind of thing. Somebody put some, I don't really care too much for the headstock, for the tuning machines. And I'm not a big fan of the worn away lacquer thing on the back. The carve I'm still getting used to as well. It is nice in that it's a true Strat dimension neck. It's the first time I've ever played this neck carve though. It's called an SRV, and it's an asymmetrical carve. So it's kind of got a big bump on the low part of the neck where your thumb wants to rest. And in here it's quite smooth and kind of slender. If it was the same on both sides, slender, I would really like it. So I'm definitely going to be hitting this, knocking it down. Pretty sweet though, jumbo frets and Brazilian rosewood fingerboard. So this guitar can't leave the country technically, I suppose. Anyway, it's got a nice sound, but I mean, I generally don't like pickups that hum. Life is noisy enough as it is, but it does sound nice. So that's what I made the loop with here. That's this. Whatever the hell's going on back in there. All right. So then bridge pickup, tone wide open, volume wide open, Mootron comes on, and then put on a little delay and a little bit of overdrive after. And you end up with that kind of almost kind of scaling my cue back when getting conditioned at following changes. Okay, I don't understand what scaling, scaling your question back. Some Grateful Goose asks, when getting conditioned at following changes, should you be investing in seeing the triads as chord changes? Yes, absolutely. So the best bang for your buck in terms of long-term visualization is going to be triadic study, and one step further, arpeggiatic study. So all that, I mean, a triad to me stops being a triad when we start seeing it in multiple octaves, okay? And everybody, maybe if you want to add a fourth note, then it definitely starts to become more of an arpeggio, but lots of guitar chords are just 3 notes or sometimes just 2. But if we're going to keep it in the wheelhouse of our F sharp minor, okay, we'd be wanting to look at this kind of sound where we go 1, flat 3, 5, right? Like that. So we're kind of commingling the knowledge of this. Okay, 1 flat 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 4, 5, and then some scaly shit. So that's that minor pentatonic with the flat 5. Adding the 9. Okay, then adding in the 6th. So kind of doing a little trill. at the end of that line. Okay, if you don't know that move, it's pretty sweet. You can do it like this. You can even add the 2. So in context, that's going to sound like... All right, so for me, I always loved little symmetrical shapes and working in. The way I ended up learning the fingerboard mostly was through octaves, okay? So if I took the ideas, let me remove the trumpet style, you know, the steel drum sound of the envelope follower. All right, just kind of lean into that for a second here. So 1, 2, slide up into 3 and kind of creep your finger up. Get the 5 in the root. And then just look at this as this. All right, and so once we get that sound under control, you know, we can hear it here, or okay, so that's 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, root. These are very popular in the gypsy jazz world, those little arpeggio shapes. So, I mean, you may want to take a quick pit stop and learn a few of those ideas for sure. The other thing you can always do is work with major sounds that are from the relative major of your minor scale. So if we know enough about F sharp minor to know that it's the relative minor of A major, we can look at A major shapes. But over top of F sharp minor, if we put the right dressing on top of it, let's get back there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, very handy to be able to kind of steal from Peter to play Paul. Okay, you heard a major 7th? Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of a Latin thing where you hear bird. So it's not that we're hearing a major 7th as a hold tone. We're hearing it as the longest kind of chromatically descending line cliche. So if we just heard, that's not such a great sound, right? Sorry. So not so good, right? But if we hear 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a long time between those notes. If we play it faster, right? I mean, that's pretty sweet, you know? So you can get that that Latin flavor, you know, that's going to be in that kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're hearing that. If you are playing with a Mutron, do not neglect to experiment with where you pick. Look at the difference that this makes here, okay? That's my normal sweet spot. I always pick just in front of the middle pickup because I tend to want to avoid my hand touching the volume the volume knob. If I play back here, which is actually more where a lot of times you'll see Garcia, and he doesn't play a Strat there, he plays his Strat up there, but once he ditches the Strat and gets into other guitars, he starts to park back and pick more over top of the bridge pickup. And if you do that with the Mutron on and you're back here, you're going to be changing the sound to a much brighter sound that's going to trigger and interact with the circuitry in a much different way. So look at this. If I go here, and then I come here. So this gets it more like a synthy sound back here. Right? Okay, so lots of fun sounds can be made with that type of circuitry just back here. All right, so I heard a major seventh is absolutely on point and better bang for your buck. Again, if you're thinking about learning your arpeggios, you wanna, or your triads, thinking about learning them in multiple octaves. Okay, so again, once we learn here, right, we want to basically take the same shape and kind of, if you can piece it together, there off the E string, there off the A string, and then, sorry, right. Look for F sharps. Okay. So if you can find F sharps and then try to figure out how to play roughly the same idea from various starting points with all 4 of your primary fingers, or maybe just 3, you'll end up expanding your vocabulary very quickly. All right, and so one of the hallmarks of the jam band guitar player is that there's a lot of vocabulary, but the only way to develop that is to do exactly what I said, is try to play the same thing and allow for it to mutate and not be the same. You're gonna come into some dead ends. You're gonna have to kind of fight your way past some of the things that you thought you were gonna be able to, get set up with. Right, you're gonna have some surprises, but that'll keep you novel and inventing new stuff along the way because you started in a way that you weren't anticipating. Now, and when you get to be totally old and jaded like me, you can find yourself very quickly running out of fresh ideas, and that's where maybe changing things up with a new guitar or a new effect pedal, or something like that can really liven things up and kind of spice things up, kind of like an old married couple, So sometimes, changing things up in the bedroom can, so to speak, can spice things up on stage. Okay, so I'm not sure if you need more help with the arpeggio stuff. Huge thanks for the response, of course. Trying to evolve from the triad world into the arpeggio world, it's really not, they're no different. I mean, literally the difference between this, those are all triads, right? 1, 3, 5, well, I'm gonna say 1, 3, 5, but these are minor thirds. Okay, So that's 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. All you need to do is do a little gliss from the 2. And now, well, sorry, avoid that. And now we've brought in the 9. All right, so now we're doing that. If we added the flat 7, right, then we've just, now we're playing a minor 7, add 9 arpeggio. Okay, yeah, but really it's the same thing. We're just kind of compressing more sausage into the link, so to speak. You know, there's just more stuffing in there, okay? So you can jam more information, and the trick is to remember that you can do the same thing, right? You want to look for similarities and sequential opportunities whenever possible. And it's all right to, at first, go off of a visual cue, okay? Something that looks, you know, like that. Okay? Lots of my favorite players, Eddie Van Halen chief among them, were shape-based players. That's okay at first. That said, you do want to not necessarily have this kind of unique solution for what you're looking to hear. Okay, you get used to hearing the lick appear in one shape, right? But you're going to want to hear that in other spots. So, right? Right, it's so much easier to do that because you're not dealing with a the tuning gets close there between the B and the G string, so it really facilitates that idea. All right, so, you know, again, you want to try, but if you fail, don't be afraid to just take the path of least resistance. You have to be like liquid, okay? You have to find that way of just flowing and not getting hung up on, I was trying to do one thing and it didn't happen. You're literally the only brain aware of what you were trying to do, unless, of course, you're playing a pre-scripted part like, you know, right? Everybody wants to hear that the right way. All right, I see some. I heard you talk about blinkers. Love the ear tag it creates. Yep. I think you have said when playing 1 to 4, hit the flat 7 of the 1 to the 3 of the 4. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers, right? How can this be translated across more changes? I mean, you basically want to look for any opportunities that exist within. Let's get at, I'm not going to kill the loop just in case anybody has questions pertaining to the flat 5, but let's talk for a second about one of the settings that I'll often talk about, the blinker in, okay? And by the way, the term blinker is not a real thing. It's not something that you can like go to just a rando person and be like, just put a blinker there, and they're going to know what you're talking about. I mean, there's maybe 10 or 12,000 people that may have heard me talk or play the guitar ever. Of them, I doubt that many of them are paying attention to what I'm saying enough to remember this little mnemonic device. But it is a very helpful way of creating energy that needs to be resolved. That's what we're doing. So we're deliberately placing tension. So over top of an E chord, hopefully it's, my G's somehow out of tune here. Let's stretchy, mix, stretch. And there we go. It's the first time I've played on a guitar with a functioning tremolo, save for that Bigsby on the ES 175.5, ES 174.5, in a long time. Okay, so let's just say that we're playing over an E, right? And we're playing, right, so, well, let's, all right, we hit that D. It wants to resolve down a semitone into the third of our A chord. Still sharp. Come on, Captain G string. Okay. Okay, so if we play E, right, there's that D again. And we're going to resolve it down into the third of the A. Okay. While over the A chord, we're going to play its major pentatonic, hit its blinker, and be one semitone away from the third of the E chord. Okay. This time we're on the other side of it, right? We're going to come up into the third. Going from 4 to 1, we would go up, kind of backdooring our way. Okay, so we're hearing this in the harmony. Well, still sharp. Sorry, guys. Okay. Right, there's the D. Then there's the G heading back to there. Back to here. All right. And if we want to, we could, I mean, there isn't enough time really to go. That's all right. But we would find our way going up into the third of the B, and then from the B's blinker, we would relieve ourselves down into the third of our home chord, the E. Does that make sense to you as to how it basically as it works? All right. Do I block my Strat? Well, no, I don't block it. I actually happen to have my black Strat here. It just has 3 springs, but the claw is quite far forward. So that creates enough tension that when I bend the strings, the guitar doesn't go and go flat. So if I do this on this guitar, you can hear the low E. So that means if I go and bend the F sharp up into the third, the E would go down. I can't do this successfully without there being some wonkiness in the tuning. Okay, so yeah, so generally speaking, you know, this is, I guess if I put a black pickguard on this, it would be yin and yang guitar. But this is, you know, this is just the way it works. You know, I literally, like I said, I just brought it out of the case. So we'll see whether or not it manages to stay. So do you see what I'm talking about in terms of the E goes to its flat 7, which relieves itself into the third of the 4 chord. The 4's flat 7 relieves itself up back into E. Then you would hear again back to 4, and then back on down to C sharp minor. It's the same chord as E, so we don't need a blinker on the minor chord. And then E, B7, let it go, back into the third again. Okay, and so once we start to see how flat 7s work for these transitional notes, they really start to become actively used just in that last little section. It's not even important that they are like modally constant. Like Jerry sometimes will do a flat 7 over top of a 1-chord vamp that is major, with like a major 7. I can't remember what Clapton song it is that he does it in, but it's very cool. It's kind of an odd sound. It creates enough leverage that it just works and kind of overpowers. All right, it's a very pungent move. It's very, very, very declarative. Okay, so essentially looking for a note in an active chord's major pentatonic that's next to a triad note if it's the next chord. Kinda, yes, but you know that's not the worst way to think about it. Except it's just easier if you just say, "Hey, let's just use that same tool, that flat seven, on each chord, and see whether or not it yields the sounds that we're looking for." Obviously, we can utilize one fret like below our approach tones into any chord that we're interested in migrating towards. But the trick is to have it be pertinent to the sound of the E chord. So basically, I just want you to think about it like you're playing an E chord, like going, go, going down the road feeling bad, right? So we'd be looking at going down the... Where's that shit coming from? Sorry, gents. God dang. Yeah, I bought the guitar, and I think the guy put new strings on it, and that's fine. It's just, you got a little play in there. It's also 28 degrees outside, something crazy. The third sounds a little sharp. All right, going down the road, feeling bad. Hear that that flat seven? Right. Sounds even better when it's in tune. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad, yeah. Don't wanna be treated this way. So pretty soon you start to see the conventions of harmony that are happening, okay? When we start to... those kinds of moves. Down the way where the nights are gay, and the sun shines daily on the mountain top. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say, I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, and I'll be turning around. I leave a little girl in Kingston town. And these nice little like... Right? Right, you just need to learn how to think in terms of harmony, okay? And so when we're getting those kind of, right, and then you're gonna hear, right? Then all of a sudden, I've got to make it to Rosie's back door. Something is dreadfully wrong. Right, see how it goes down to the blinker? And what does that make it want to do? Da, 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 da. Go into the third of it, the four chord of that chord that we were on. Right, it's very typical in folk and country music, okay? It's a very common thing to do, okay? So it's not quite like you just pick it. It's usually the flat seven of the chord, not just any old rando chordo number. Okay. All right. A great question, by the way, and I appreciate you getting involved. It always makes the live stream that much more lively when people are, asking questions and interacting. And if there's continued confusion, then it gives me an opportunity to try to clarify. So, tell me, did that help? Did that get you squared away? Because one of the things I like about teaching is helping people, fix their problems and stuff. Well, guitar problems, I can't. Trust me, I'm fucked up enough. I can't help anybody with anything else. But there it is. Oh, God. There's a lot of this stuff here. Okay. Oh gosh, there's so many questions above here. I didn't notice this. Okay. Okay, so this is interesting here. I note the overarching key plus mode. Picture the triads as the changes occur. What is my core visualization strategy? Okay, so this one is Grateful Goose 54. And really a hip idea for sure, right? So you want to think about, well, what do I do? You know, the weird thing is it's hard to sometimes think about what your brain is doing when it's doing stuff, right? You're sitting there, you're too busy doing it to know what you're doing. Okay, it helps a ton, thanks. Okay, great. Stick around, maybe get another question. So when I'm thinking about minor stuff, right, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you I think a little differently when I approach minor jams. All right, especially if we're talking about Grateful Dead stuff. Usually the minor songs like The Other One or Estimated, right? They're going to have, or the outro jam to Feels Like a Stranger, they kind of have like a one chord energy to them, right? So here I'm thinking, you know, minor pentatonic flat 5. And then I'm going to be thinking about that all over the place. Right, so everything I played here, I'm thinking here, so then I keep kind of coming up. So I always think about the roots from all of my fingers. If I'm here, I only have options that kind of lead here. Right, if I have my index finger there. If I'm here, I can get at, right? But I'll usually play out of chord positions. Usually I'm like, oh, here's my F sharp. Or, okay, and then if I'm, you know, gonna keep bringing it up, I get access to that high E string there if I'm thinking about those Dorian sounds. If I'm thinking about the same sounds of, like, from here though, right, that's pinky, right? Ring would be, all right, middle finger. Right, so I deliberately put myself in disadvantageous positions to kind of spread my awareness around a little bit. Put yourself where you're uncomfortable until you're comfortable, and then guess what? You're that much better, right? Very low output pickups on this guitar. I've had to crank up the sensitivity on the Mutron quite a bit to get it to open up and be reliable, and it's still not really opening very well off the high E. You know, it's kind of, you know, it does sound pretty sweet though. And again, if you drown stuff in reverb and a little bit, I think there's some delay in there. Yeah, one little delay in the background. All right, so that's pretty much, you know, all I'm thinking of is like thinking about this one, this, you know, and then again. So basically, the 5 positions of the minor pentatonic, but from there I try to add the color notes that I'm interested in. So that's going to be those approach tones. Right? One of the things that I have just been very determined to do is to bend into keynotes. So if I'm going to be looking at the root here, right? I want you to try to practice. Okay, so I'm trying to show off, but it's coming across a little forced. Not show off, but show that idea. Okay, that technique about bending into stuff. So that's about it. That helped a ton. Okay, so there's no more questions there. Blinkers. You heard major seventh. Okay. Should I be investing in scene triads as chord change? Okay, so definitely, let's say we were playing a song, okay, that had chord changes other than just like a one chord vamp. This is going back to Grateful Goose 54's question, okay? So if we were playing, into chord changes, more, deliberate ones. Yeah, like let's think about if we were playing Deal, for example, okay? So we're coming out of this. Right, so A major, C sharp dominant, F sharp minor, A major. Do not play a fucking E chord there, I'll get angry. You might have an E in the bass, but it is an A chord. So, since it costs a lot to win, and even more to lose, you and me better spend some time wondering what to choose. Goes to show you don't ever know what each card you play, and play it slow. Wait until your deal come round. Don't you let that deal go down, no. All right, so if we're looking at that kind of thing, right, we're going to want to learn how to visualize the A major chord. Okay, and then we want to think about how to play into and over, okay? Into is one thing, like the note that we hit on the downbeat of the chord change is the most important one to practice. So if we were to practice playing over a loop that went, right, and then we went, right, we played that F, that would be a very sensible thing to do. Because we want to take those notes and then have them change on the downbeat of the C sharp 7 sound and find the third of that chord, which we see right there. That middle finger is on the F note. Okay. Every other note that we're playing is actually common to where we were. Right? So if we just pick the one that's new, we can kind of create that kind of sound of this, like. Right? Sorry, that would be. Okay, so highlighting that F over the C sharp 7 sound is really important. Right? Leading tone into the F sharp minor, into A. So that's F sharp minor, A, right? D, and then the E flat diminished. And then look at that, that C wants to go into the major third of the A chord. So okay, so we're going to be able to find our way through the changes a lot better once we see all those arpeggios and kind of brainstormed a little bit. Now, I've been looking at and working with and examining and playing over Deal and judging other students, and I've been involved with that song for a long time at a pretty high density level. So don't be scared that it might not just all jump out of the guitar at you at first, okay? Keep hanging in there. I like to superimpose pentatonics. What is my take on how far to go down that rabbit hole? I mean, that's a tremendously progressive style. That's Jason Walters is asking about superimpose. You mean like in the way that like Eric Johnson and John Coltrane, two of my biggest heroes, well, one of my biggest heroes and one of the guys I respect the most. As much as I respect Coltrane's work, I don't listen to it. It's too intense for me. It's kind of like, you know, certain spicy foods. They taste great, but they literally just kind of mess me up. All right, so I should learn this the right way from Jax. Hit the like button. Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can, if you're interested, obviously, you know, you can go back and look at any of the. I think I have 400 or some odd, you know, lessons and or videos, some of which are dedicated to that's this type of stuff. And some of which have tab, and then if you aren't feeling like you're getting enough like one-on-one attention, then by all means feel free to come join up over at Snack School, and that's where there's like whatever, I think we're up to 80 people now that kind of, here, let's say hi for a second. There, there, that's the little logo that you see all over the place. That's it. Oh gosh, this is kind of bad form here. Let's get that. We don't need to see the lights. Well, whatever. There we go. So the idea is, you know, there's a lot of people that are over there learning the same things. So we get a lot of cool musicians that are hanging out and playing in Grateful Dead bands. And so if this is a subject matter that's near and dear to your heart, you'd fit right in. I'd say that, you know, we have a fair amount of beginner players as well as intermediate and a few advanced players, but they tend to lurk. They don't need the hand holding that happens in the lessons too much. But they do back channel me quite well. That sounds gross. They do they slide in my DMs. They reach out and say hello from time to time and share their videos of their homework, so to speak, and ask whether or not they're coming at things the right way. So, which is something I encourage everybody to do, whether you're a student or not of mine. I don't just because if I'm not getting paid by you, it doesn't mean I don't help. Okay, there's lots of opportunities for you to get good education from somebody who knows and gives a shit about the guitar, and in particular how it relates to Grateful Dead music. And I don't have to smell bad or have dreadlocks or be a big fat old man with a beard to teach you how to enjoy this music and understand it better than, you know. I know a lot of people, you know, they want free lessons, and I get it, you know, and to a certain extent I feel like I've contributed a lot of my time over the years to sharing what I know about this music. Okay, this is great stuff. I mean, look at what we're doing here. If we take the example of playing the chords, just the chords, okay, of Deal. Okay, let's say we just say A, look for that C sharp dominant sound. That's right there, right? F sharp minor, A major, D, diminished, back to A. Right? Very, very important that you know your chords. If you can sit there and go, right, and do like that kind of chunk, 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 chunk of 1, 2, 3, 4, where you're kind of going, right, where you're seeing all the different chords, or even just seeing them in different places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so what would that be? Yeah, that was this. Okay, it really, if you don't know those chord grips, how in the hell are you ever going to navigate through something like that? You can't just go, what scale makes the whole thing happen? That is just not the way music works. All right, this whole like, I just go up and down a scale. Yes, you can hope and pray, and you may get right from time to time, but that's the broken clock is right twice a day thing, okay? Don't do that. All right, so I don't know what the hell's going on here. How long have I been at this? This is an hour and 23 minutes in, so I guess that's about right. It's almost 7 o'clock. My family should be getting home soon. I'll probably do some dinner. Unless anybody's got some questions, I'm happy to field a couple more. If you're on the fence about piping up, please, say hello. There's 18 people out there. I think most of there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people have said, "Yo, what's up?" Jay, what's your... Okay. Well, that's that. So let's see what I got here. I'll keep this handy, and that way if I see anybody come up here, boom, boom, boom. Let's get this together. Boom. That's just dead. Oh, no wonder. Tone control needs to come down. You mean the well, I mean, I don't think there's too many tricks to it, all right? So, you know, I think I would, just the sound of Gomorrah, that's gonna be off the third. Just the sound of Gomorrah, I wonder what they did there. So we're basically, must have been a long, that's gonna be a sus chord, I think. Must have been a long day down. Right, you get that little. What is that? That's it. All right, so that's all I know about Gomorrah. It's been a while since I played the tune, but so one of the things that you want to have is that kind of now you can do it. Man, why does my camera like to spaz out on those the white levels? Right, I'm basically out of the third finger on the root, and I'm allowing the chubby part of the little middle knuckle flesh here to hit the A string. So it's dead. So that's a trick, I suppose. And I'm basically getting the middle finger getting the 6 and the pinky gets the 7. That's index finger comes down, flat 3. Well, you could do it with your fingers. Or you can do it where you play with these two. Okay, so this is all it's going to be stemming out of that kind of. The bluegrassy stuff that's happening back here. Okay, so you got that. Just the sound. Just the sound. Okay, so that's just putting that down. Just putting the sus. You got the 6 and the 4, right? Just the sound of Gomorrah. The sound of Gomorrah. If you want to keep the low end in there, you're going to have to figure out how to get to that. Okay? You can do the there we go. Get the thumb over if you want. Or just go. I wonder what they did there. It must have been a long time. 2, 3, and we go B flat, F, and then F, C. That's all I got. I don't know the bridge off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and re-examine it like I did the last time I gigged with it. The rest of the tune is roughly akin to a bunch of, you know, believe it or not, a bunch of ZZ Top songs and shit like that, and a lot of folky blues stuff, Doc Watson tunes. translate so great to an electric guitar, but. So when you play it, you just want to play from the G sound into the C sound. All right, but fucking cool song for sure. Not one that many students ask about. So Guitar Hero 27, thank you. I hope there's something in there for you. I'm not sure what you got, but whoops, wrong direction. All right, anything else? Anybody got anything? Anyway, new axe. Yes, this is pretty nice. The good news is it's super light, and the tremolo that's on it actually is a pretty nice tremolo. I've got one of these on another guitar. It's called the Vega Trem. It's really small though, and I'm not so sure if it's gonna make the cut. These aren't my typical pickups. I don't hear all that hum. Yicky, daddy no likey. Because when you put on like all this. It's hummy. Anyway. What do we got here? Boom. Woo, golly. My goodness. That's bad. All right, folks. I'm going to duck out of here before I go too deep into this whole rabbit hole, but it has been a pleasure to spend a little bit of time with everybody here. And if you're interested, over the course of the next couple of days, I'm going to be back here at home taking care of my family and my kids. But when I get a break, usually I come down here and fuck around on the guitar for a little bit. And if I feel inspired, it's not too much trouble to just press a couple of buttons and get live for you guys. So it's always a pleasure to connect with people and share what I know. And I'll see you around for sure, Scott. All right. And if you're looking to, develop your playing, please take a good hard look at the lessons that are in the various playlists here on my channel. And keep an eye out for any other office hours. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right, go back and check out some of the stuff that's. Oh, you're very welcome, Matt. I see Matthew Lee coming up here saying thanks, of course, and thank you, and thanks to all of you for, kind of creating a circle between what I know and what you're interested in, kind of creating a perpetuating flow state between two forces, So I'm happy to provide something for the community that's, obviously this music is it's important, and I want to see it thrive and flourish, and I want to make sure that it's being responsibly disseminated to the rest of the playing public, because I see it often being poorly represented in educational ways. So whatever. I'm not such hot stuff that I don't fuck up and make mistakes, but you could do a lot worse for a guitar mentor on this kind of stuff. Great as always. What pickups are in the new Strat? I'm not quite sure what's in here, to be perfectly honest with you. They're not long for this world. I definitely prefer the pickups, and I just hate hum. Every time I take a pause, it goes, and even if like right now, this is a sound that I have worked up because I plan on doing Candyman with my band soon. So you got that. What's it, Bob? Right, and it's just listen to that. That sucks. Okay, I know that single coil pickups sound nice, but those phony single coils in the in this bad boy sound just about the same, and frankly, they sound a little bit thicker, and it's a slightly more idealized version of the sound. Man, the neck on this is a lot more reasonable than this guitar, but man, I always loved this look, the big headstock and the Olympic white with the mint guard and the whole thing. Granted, it's not necessarily the most I will say that the in-between positions on tend to sound a little better on real single coils than the phony single coils over here on the black guitar. But I spend so little time dealing with like those kind of like I don't do a lot of funk playing anymore. But even if I did, I don't like eh. All right, hey, somebody's at the door, so I'm gonna go here. All right, everybody, Merry Christmas. I'll probably see you beforehand, but just the same. Take care, everybody. Much love from Brooklyn. Cheers.